I saw her in my house 3 hours before I got the divorce papers. Red dress, perfect makeup, laughing in my living room with my husband's colleagues while I served appetizers like the good wife. Emma, his assistant. Everyone kept complimenting her, telling Richard how lucky he was to have such a dedicated employee. I remember thinking she looked beautiful, and I even told her so. Can you imagine that? I complimented the woman who was about to replace me. That was Christmas Eve, 2023, Greenwich, Connecticut. By 10 p.m. the guests were gone. By 10:15, Richard handed me an envelope. By 10:30, I understood why Emma had been smiling at me all night. She already knew. They all knew. I was the only person at my own Christmas party who didn't know my marriage was over. Welcome to Drama Coda. Stay with me until the end because this story gets wild. Drop a like and rate this story 1 to 10 in the comments. Let me tell you something about expensive houses. They echo. Our Greenwich mansion had marble floors, 12-foot ceilings, and on Christmas Eve, every sound bounced off the walls like it was mocking you. The click of Emma's heels. The pop of champagne corks. Richard's laugh, the one he used to save for me. And later, after everyone left, the sound of an envelope sliding across our granite kitchen counter. That sound, that tiny whisper of paper on stone, that's the sound that changed everything. But I'm getting ahead of myself. My name is Margaret Chen. I'm 52 years old. I've been a real estate broker for 23 years, successful enough that people recognize my face on bus benches across Fairfield County. I've sold over 400 homes. Mansions in Greenwich, waterfront properties in Stamford, historic estates in New Canaan. I know the value of everything. Square footage, lot size, school districts, resale potential. I can look at a house and tell you exactly what it's worth. Turns out I had no idea what I was worth. Richard Chin, my husband. 49 years old, hedge fund manager, net worth somewhere around $40 million, give or take a few million depending on market conditions. We met when I was 24 and he was 21. I was already working in real estate, selling starter homes in Norwalk. He was fresh out of business school, working crazy hours at a small investment firm in Stamford. He had nothing. I had a little. Together, we were going to build something big. And we did. I helped him through those early years. The years when hedge fund managers weren't celebrities, when the money wasn't flowing like it is now. I worked my listings during the day, came home and made dinner, listened to him talk about markets and strategies I didn't fully understand but pretended to because that's what you do when you love someone. I believed in him. When his firm wanted to let him go in 2003, I'm the one who convinced him to start his own fund. I'm the one who put $50,000 of my commission money into his first venture. I'm the one who told him he could do it. 20 years later, he's managing $3 billion in assets, and I'm serving appetizers to his mistress. But I didn't know that yet. Not on Christmas Eve morning when I woke up at 6 a.m. to start preparing for the party. Not when I drove to Whole Foods to pick up the catering order. Not when I spent 2 hours arranging everything perfectly because Richard's colleagues were coming and everything had to be perfect. It always had to be perfect. Richard came downstairs at 8. He was on his phone. Always on his phone. He kissed my forehead without looking at me, poured himself coffee, and disappeared into his office. This was normal. This was every day of our marriage for the last 10 years. He worked. I managed everything else. The house. The parties. The appearance of a perfect life. Our son Michael called around 9. He's 26, living in San Francisco, working for a tech company. We talked for maybe 5 minutes. He asked if we were doing anything special for Christmas. I told him about the party. He said that sounded nice. He didn't ask if I was okay. Nobody ever asked if I was okay. Our daughter Sarah texted instead of calling. She's 23, finishing law school at Columbia. Her text said, Merry Christmas, Mom. Sorry I can't make it home studying for the bar. Love you. I sent back a heart emoji. That's how we communicated now. Heart emojis and short texts and the occasional phone call where we talked about everything except how we actually felt. I spent the rest of the morning getting ready. Hair appointment at 11. Manicure at 1. I bought a new dress for the party. Navy blue. Elegant. Age appropriate. That's what the saleswoman said. Age appropriate. Like there was an appropriate way to age. Like there were rules about what 52-year-old women should wear to their own Christmas parties. Richard came out of his office at 4. The guests were arriving at 6. He looked at me and said, "You look nice." 2 words. You look nice. Not beautiful. Not stunning. Nice. Like I was a piece of furniture he'd just noticed matched the curtains. I said thank you. He went back to his phone. The first guests arrived at 6:15. Robert and Jennifer Morrison. Robert worked with Richard, senior partner at the fund. Jennifer did something with interior design. We hugged. We exchanged pleasantries. She complimented my dress. I complimented her shoes. This was the dance. We'd been doing it for years. More people arrived. The house filled with laughter and conversation, and the smell of expensive perfume and catered food. I moved through the crowd with a smile, making sure everyone had drinks, making sure everyone was happy. This was my role. The hostess. The wife. The woman who made sure everything ran smoothly so her husband could focus on being brilliant. And then Emma walked in. I'd met her before, of course. She'd been Richard's assistant for 2 years. But I'd never really looked at her. She was just the girl who answered his phone and managed his calendar, and occasionally joined us for company dinners. Young, pretty in a generic way, forgettable. Except she wasn't forgettable anymore. She wore a red dress. Silk, probably designer, fitted perfectly to her body. Her hair was done in these loose waves that looked effortless but definitely weren't. Her makeup was flawless. And she walked into my house like she belonged there. No, not like she belonged there. Like she owned it. Richard saw her and his face changed. Just for a second. Just long enough for me to notice. His expression softened. His eyes lit up. He looked at her the way he used to look at me 28 years ago. And then it was gone, replaced by his professional smile, and he was introducing her to Robert Morrison, and everyone was laughing at something someone said. I walked over with a tray of appetizers. Emma turned to me and smiled. Her teeth were perfect. Everything about her was perfect. "Thank you so much for having me, Mrs. Chen," she said. "Your home is absolutely beautiful." "Call me Margaret," I said. "And thank you. You look stunning. That dress is gorgeous. This old thing?" She laughed. "Just something I threw on." It wasn't old. It wasn't something she threw on. But I smiled and nodded and moved on to the next group of guests because that's what you do at parties. You smile and you nod and you keep moving. The party continued. 75 people crammed into our living room and dining room and spilling out onto the covered patio where we'd set up heat lamps. Everyone was drinking and laughing and having a wonderful time. Richard was in his element, talking about market trends and investment strategies, surrounded by admirers. Emma stayed close to him. Not too close. Just close enough. She laughed at his jokes. She touched his arm when she talked to him. Small touches. Casual. The kind of touches that could be explained away as nothing. But they weren't nothing. I watched them. I couldn't stop watching them. And the more I watched, the more I saw. The way she anticipated what he needed before he asked. The way he relaxed when she was near. The way they had this whole silent communication thing going on, like they'd developed their own language. Jennifer Morrison appeared next to me. She was on her 3rd glass of wine. "Emma is delightful," she said. "Richard is so lucky to have her." "He is," I said. "And she's so dedicated. Robert says she works longer hours than anyone else at the firm." "That's great," I said. Jennifer leaned closer. Her breath smelled like Chardonnay. Between you and me, she whispered, I think half the men at the firm are in love with her. She laughed. I laughed. We were both laughing. But something cold settled in my stomach. The party wound down around 9:30. People started making excuses about early morning plans and long drives home. By 10 p.m., everyone was gone except the catering staff cleaning up in the kitchen. Richard walked them out, paid them, thanked them. By 10:15, we were alone. I was in the living room, collecting empty glasses, when Richard came back inside. He had an envelope in his hand. Plain, white, business-sized. Margaret, he said. I turned around. We need to talk. 4 words. We need to talk. Everyone knows what those words mean. Nothing good ever follows, we need to talk. But I smiled anyway. I put down the glasses I was holding. I wiped my hands on my dress, even though they weren't dirty. Okay, I said. He handed me the envelope. I don't want to do this on Christmas, he said, but my lawyer said we needed to move forward. I took the envelope. It was heavier than I expected. I opened it. Inside were papers. Legal papers. Words like dissolution of marriage and irreconcilable differences and division of assets. I read the first page, then the second. Then I stopped reading because I couldn't focus on the words anymore. You're divorcing me, I said. Yes. On Christmas Eve. The timing is unfortunate, he said. But yes. He said it like he was discussing a business transaction. Clinical. Detached. Like I was a client, not his wife of 28 years. Why? I asked. It's not working anymore, Margaret. You know it's not working. We haven't been happy for years. I haven't been unhappy, I said. That's the problem. You're never anything. You're never happy, never sad, never angry. You just exist. I need more than that. More than what? More than this. He gestured at the house, at me, at our entire life. More than the same routine every day. More than a wife who's content with maintaining the status quo. I felt something then. Not anger. Not sadness. Something stranger. Relief, maybe. Or clarity. Like I'd been waiting for this moment without knowing I was waiting for it. Emma, I said. He didn't deny it. I'm in love with her, he said. I didn't mean for it to happen. But it did. And I can't keep pretending. How long? 2 years. 2 years. The same amount of time she'd been his assistant. She hadn't taken the job to be his assistant. Or maybe she had, and the affair was just a bonus. It didn't matter. The result was the same. I'm offering you a very generous settlement, Richard said. $600,000 cash, plus you keep the Volvo and your retirement accounts. I keep the house, my business assets, and the Mercedes. $600,000. I did the math in my head. After taxes, that was maybe $400,000. Maybe. I'd put $50,000 into his business. I'd supported him for 28 years. I'd raised his children. I'd built his perfect life. And he was offering me $600,000. That's generous? I said. Margaret, be reasonable. Most of our assets are tied up in the fund. I can't liquidate everything. This is fair. Fair. I looked at him. Really looked at him. When did he become this person? Or had he always been this person and I just never noticed? I need time to think, I said. My lawyer needs an answer by January 2nd. If you don't agree to these terms, things will get complicated. And expensive. For both of us. Was that a threat? It sounded like a threat. I'll think about it, I said again. He nodded. He looked relieved. Like he'd expected me to scream or cry or throw things. But I didn't do any of that. I just stood there, holding divorce papers on Christmas Eve, while snow fell outside and our Christmas tree lights blinked in the corner. I'm staying at the Delamar for a few days, Richard said. Give you some space. We can talk after Christmas. He left. Just like that. Walked out of our house with an overnight bag he'd apparently already packed. The door closed. The lock clicked. And I was alone with 75 years worth of memories and a settlement offer that valued me at less than his annual bonus. I sat down on the couch. The one we'd bought together 15 years ago. Italian leather, obscenely expensive, but Richard wanted it, so we got it. I looked around the room. Everything in it was something Richard wanted. The art on the walls, the furniture, the color scheme. Even the Christmas tree was decorated the way he liked it. Silver and gold. Elegant. Sophisticated. No colored lights. No homemade ornaments. No personality. When had I stopped having opinions? When had I stopped being a person? I don't know how long I sat there. An hour maybe. Maybe more. At some point I got up and poured myself a glass of wine. Then another. I read through the divorce papers again. There was a lot of legal language I didn't understand, but the basic terms were clear. He wanted out. Fast. Clean. No fuss. And he expected me to cooperate. My phone rang. It was Sarah, my daughter. "Hey, Mom," she said. "Just calling to say good night." "How was the party?" "It was fine," I said. "You sound weird. Are you okay?" "I'm fine, Mom." "Really, sweetie, I'm fine. Just tired. It was a long day." "Okay. Well, Merry Christmas." "I love you." "I love you too." I hung up. I almost called her back. Almost told her everything. But what would I say? Your father is leaving me for a woman younger than you? Your perfect family is a lie? I couldn't do that. Not on Christmas. I finished my wine. I went upstairs. Our bedroom felt different now. Like it belonged to a stranger. I looked at Richard's side of the bed. His nightstand. His lamp. His reading glasses. All his things. When had this stopped being our room and started being his room? I slept in the guest room that night. I didn't cry. I couldn't cry. I felt numb. Hollow. Like someone had scooped out my insides and left only the shell. Christmas morning, I woke up at 6 out of habit. I went downstairs. Made coffee. Sat at the kitchen table. The divorce papers were still there, next to my empty wine glass. I picked them up and read them again. Every word this time. $600,000. The house was worth $3 million. My name was on the deed. We'd bought it together 20 years ago for $800,000. I'd made the down payment from my real estate commissions. But the papers said Richard was keeping it. The papers said a lot of things. They said Richard's business assets were separate property, even though I'd invested in his first fund. They said his retirement accounts were separate, even though we'd been married when he'd earned all that money. They said I was entitled to $600,000 and nothing more. I called my brother Henry. He's a lawyer. Not a divorce lawyer, he does corporate law, but he knows people. "Merry Christmas," he said when he answered. "Henry," I said, "I need help." By December 26th, I had my own lawyer. Her name was Patricia Delgado. She was 58 years old, partner at a firm in Stamford, and she specialized in high-net-worth divorces. She had gray hair she didn't bother dyeing and a reputation for being ruthless. We met in her office. She read through Richard's settlement offer. Then she looked at me. "Don't sign this," she said. "Why not?" "Because you're entitled to a lot more than $600,000. Connecticut is an equitable distribution state. That means all marital property gets divided fairly. Not necessarily equally, but fairly. You've been married 28 years. You helped build his business. You're entitled to a significant portion of his assets. He says most of his money is in the fund. He says he can't liquidate it. He doesn't have to liquidate it. He can give you shares in the fund. Or he can buy you out over time. Or we can force the sale of other assets. The house, for example. You have options, Margaret. The house. I hadn't thought about the house. I hadn't thought about any of this. For 28 years, I'd let Richard make all the financial decisions. I'd focused on my career, my clients, my commissions, but the big money stuff, the investments and retirement accounts and asset allocation, that was all Richard. I trusted him. Big mistake. Patricia spent the next hour explaining my rights. She explained community property and separate property and commingling of funds. She explained that Richard's claim that his business assets were separate was questionable at best, fraudulent at worst. She explained that my initial $50,000 investment, even though it was 20 years ago, entitled me to a portion of the fund's growth. She explained a lot of things. The bottom line was simple. I was worth a lot more than $600,000. Richard was not happy when Patricia contacted his lawyer. He called me on December 27th. His voice was tight. "What are you doing, Margaret?" "Getting what I deserve. We had a deal. We had a settlement offer. I didn't accept it. You're being unreasonable." "I'm being fair. There's a difference." He hung up. He called back an hour later and apologized. Said he was stressed. Said this didn't have to be difficult. Said we could work something out. I said I'd think about it. I didn't think about it. Patricia filed a response to his divorce petition on January 3rd. She requested a full accounting of all marital assets, including Richard's hedge fund, his retirement accounts, his stock portfolios, everything. She requested temporary spousal support. She requested that I remain in the marital home during the divorce proceedings. Richard went ballistic. His lawyer sent a strongly worded letter. Patricia sent one back. They went back and forth for weeks. Meanwhile, I was living in our Greenwich mansion by myself, sleeping in the guest room, trying to figure out what I was supposed to do with the rest of my life. I'd been with Richard since I was 24. I was 52 now. 28 years. More than half my life. I didn't know how to be Margaret Chen without being Richard Chen's wife. I didn't know who I was. So I started figuring it out. I went back to work. I'd taken time off around the holidays, but by mid-January I was showing houses again. I threw myself into my career. I worked 12-hour days. I took on new clients. I closed deals I would have handed off to junior agents before. And something strange happened. I remembered why I loved real estate. Not the money, although the money was good. I loved the transformation. I loved taking someone from "I don't know what I'm looking for" to "this is home." I loved the moment when a client walked into a house and their face changed, when they could see their future, their new beginning. I wanted that. A new beginning. In February, I showed a house to a woman named Diana Reynolds. She was 45, recently divorced, looking for a fresh start. The house was a small Cape Cod in Darien. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 1,500 square feet. Nothing fancy. But it had good bones and a nice backyard, and it was in her price range. We walked through together. Diana was quiet. She touched the walls like she was trying to feel something. "It's perfect," she finally said. "But I don't know if I can do this." "Do what?" "Start over. Live alone. Be divorced." She laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "I've been married for 20 years. I don't know how to not be married." I understood that. God, I understood that. "You learn," I said. "You figure it out as you go." "Is that what you're doing? Figuring it out?" I'd mentioned my divorce during one of our earlier meetings. Not the details, just that I was going through one. "Yeah," I said. "That's exactly what I'm doing." She bought the house. And when she closed on it in March, she called me. "I have a friend," she said. "She's getting divorced too. She needs a house. Can you help her?" Of course. The friend's name was Rachel Kim. She was 51, married 25 years. Husband left her for a younger woman. Sound familiar? Rachel needed something bigger than Diana's Cape Cod. She had teenage kids still at home. But she also needed something she could afford on a single income, which was complicated because her husband was a surgeon and they'd been living well beyond what her salary as a museum curator could support. I found her a house. 4 bedrooms in Norwalk. Good schools. Manageable price. She loved it. And then Rachel referred another friend. And that friend referred another. And by April, I'd helped 6 newly divorced women find homes. 6 women who were all starting over. 6 women who were all figuring out who they were without their husbands. 6 women just like me. I was sitting in my office on a rainy Tuesday in late April when the idea hit me. What if I specialized in this? What if I focused exclusively on helping divorced women find luxury properties they could actually afford and actually wanted? What if I created a business around helping women rebuild their lives? I called Patricia Delgado. I have an idea, I said. I pitched it to her. A boutique real estate agency specializing in divorce transitions. Not just finding houses, but helping women understand their financial options, connecting them with the right lenders, the right financial advisors, the right resources. A full-service approach to starting over. Patricia was quiet for a long moment. That's brilliant, she finally said. Do it. And I'll refer every single one of my clients to you. My divorce was still ongoing. Richard and I were stuck in discovery hell, both sides requesting documents and depositions and valuations. His lawyer kept offering settlements. Patricia kept rejecting them. The offers were getting better, creeping up from $600,000 to $800,000 to $1 million, but Patricia said we could do better. Be patient, she told me. He'll cave. While I waited, I built my business. I registered a new LLC, Phoenix Properties. I liked the symbolism. Rising from ashes. Starting over. I designed a website. I created a marketing plan. I reached out to every divorce lawyer in Fairfield County and offered my services. I positioned myself as the expert in helping newly single women navigate the real estate market, and it worked. By June, I had 15 clients. By July, 23. By August, I'd closed enough deals that my income was higher than it had ever been. I wasn't just selling houses anymore. I was selling hope. I was selling new beginnings. I was selling the promise that life after divorce could be better than life during marriage. I believed it because I was living it. Richard and I were still legally married, but we hadn't spoken since January except through our lawyers. He was living with Emma now, in a condo in Stamford. I heard through mutual friends that they were happy, that she was everything I wasn't. Young, exciting, fun. I didn't care. Or I cared less than I expected to. Because I was happy to. For the first time in years, maybe decades, I was actually happy. I woke up excited about my day. I went to bed satisfied with what I'd accomplished. I was building something that mattered. In September, I needed work done on the Greenwich house. The kitchen faucet was leaking, and there was some water damage under the sink. Patricia said I should get it fixed and send Richard the bill, since he was responsible for maintaining the house during the divorce proceedings. I called a contractor. His name was James Murphy. He was 47 years old, divorced father of 3, running a small contracting business in Stamford. He came to look at the damage on a Thursday morning. He was not what I expected. I don't know what I expected. Someone older, maybe. Someone rough around the edges. But James Murphy showed up in clean jeans and a company polo shirt, and when he smiled, his whole face lit up. Let's see what we're working with, he said. He looked at the damage. He asked questions about the house. He was thorough, professional, and he didn't treat me like an idiot, which, in my experience with contractors, was rare. I can fix this, he said. It's not as bad as it looks. Probably take me 2 days. I can start Monday if that works for you. Monday works. He gave me a quote. It was reasonable. I approved it. He left. He came back Monday morning at 8 a.m. sharp. He worked quietly, efficiently, didn't make a mess. During his lunch break, he sat on my back patio and ate a sandwich. I brought him iced tea. We talked. Small talk at first. The weather. The house. How long I'd lived there. Then he asked if I was selling. No, I said. I'm divorcing. Ah. He nodded. Been there. It's rough. How long have you been divorced? 4 years. Best thing that ever happened to me. He said it without bitterness. Just fact. I laughed. Everyone keeps telling me it gets better. It does. You start remembering who you were before you got married. It's like finding an old friend you forgot about. I liked that. Finding an old friend. That's exactly what it felt like. James finished the work by Tuesday afternoon. The faucet worked perfectly. The water damage was repaired. He was packing up his tools when I asked him if he did larger projects. Depends on the project, he said. I have clients who buy houses that need work. They need contractors they can trust. Someone reliable, fair pricing, quality work. Would you be interested in those kinds of referrals? His eyes widened. Yeah, definitely. I gave him my business card. Phoenix Properties. He looked at it. You help divorced women, he said. I do. That's really cool. His smile was genuine. We need more of that. He gave me his card. Murphy Contracting. I called him 2 weeks later with a referral. Then another. Then another. By November, I was sending him 3 or 4 jobs a month. His business was growing. So was mine. We started talking more. Quick conversations that turned into longer ones. He told me about his kids. 14-year-old twin boys and a 12-year-old daughter. He had them every other week. He told me about his ex-wife, who'd left him for her personal trainer. He told me about rebuilding his life, his business, his relationship with his kids. I told him about Richard, about Emma, about discovering that my marriage had been empty for years and I'd just been too comfortable to notice, about building Phoenix Properties and helping other women avoid my mistakes. We understood each other. In December, exactly 1 year after Richard gave me divorce papers, my lawyer called. We have a settlement offer, Patricia said. $2.2 million, plus your retirement accounts, plus half the appreciation on the house. Plus you get to stay in the house until it sells and we split the proceeds. That's a lot more than $600,000, I said. That's what happens when you don't roll over and play dead. I accepted the offer. Richard signed the papers the next day. By December 15th, we were officially divorced. 28 years of marriage ended with signatures on legal documents. I should have been sad. Instead, I felt free. On December 20th, James called me. I have a proposition, he said. I need help buying a house. My rental lease is up in February and I want to buy something. But I don't know anything about real estate and I trust you. Will you help me? Of course. We looked at houses together. It was different than working with regular clients. We laughed more. We talked about things that had nothing to do with real estate. His daughter wanted a house with a big backyard. His sons wanted a house with a basement they could turn into a gaming room. He wanted something comfortable. A home, not just a house. We found a perfect place in Stamford. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, nice yard, finished basement. It needed some work, but that was fine because James could do the work himself. He made an offer. It was accepted. We went out to celebrate. Dinner at a small Italian restaurant in Norwalk. Nothing fancy. Just pasta and wine and conversation. We talked for 3 hours. About everything. About nothing. And somewhere during that dinner, something shifted. We weren't just colleagues anymore. We weren't just friends. He drove me home. Walked me to my door. Margaret, he said. Yes. I really like you. I like you too. No, I mean I really like you. And I don't know if that's weird or inappropriate or too fast, but I needed to say it. My heart was pounding. When was the last time my heart had pounded? It's not weird, I said. Or inappropriate. Or too fast. He kissed me. Right there on my doorstep, under the Christmas lights I'd hung by myself this year. It was a good kiss. A great kiss. The kind of kiss that makes you forget you're 52 and divorced and supposedly past all this. We started dating. Officially. He met my kids over Christmas. Sarah flew home from New York. Michael came from San Francisco. They were skeptical at first. Protective. But James won them over with his terrible dad jokes and his genuine interest in their lives and the way he looked at me like I was the most interesting person in the room. Richard found out in January. Someone told him they'd seen me with another man. He called me. First time we'd spoken directly in over a year. "You're seeing someone?" he asked. "Yes." That was fast. "I've been divorced for a month, Richard. You've been living with Emma for over a year. I don't think you get to judge my timeline." He was quiet for a moment. "Are you happy?" he finally asked. "Yes, I am. Are you?" Another pause. "Yeah," he said. "I think I am." "Good. That's good." We hung up. It was the most honest conversation we'd had in years. Phoenix Properties was thriving. I'd helped 43 women find homes in my first year of operation. 43 women starting over. 43 new beginnings. I hired 2 associates to help with the workload. I was getting featured in local magazines. Featured in articles about women entrepreneurs. Building something that mattered. James and I moved in together in March. Not into my house, not into his house, but into a new house we bought together. A smaller place in Darien. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a yard for his kids when they visited. It was ours. Not mine, not his, ours. It wasn't perfect. His kids struggled with the transition sometimes. My kids had opinions about my relationship. We argued about money and schedules and whose turn it was to do the dishes. But it was real. It was honest. It was nothing like my marriage to Richard. One night in April, we were sitting on our back deck, drinking wine, watching the sunset. James reached over and took my hand. "You know what's crazy?" he said. "What?" "I spent 20 years in a marriage where I was miserable, and I thought that was just what marriage was. Just something you endured. And now I'm here with you and I realize I wasn't wrong about marriage. I was just with the wrong person." I squeezed his hand. "I wasted 28 years, I said. "You didn't waste them. You learned from them. You built a career. You raised your kids. You figured out what you didn't want so you could recognize what you do want." "What do I want?" "This. Us. Right now." He was right. This was what I wanted. Not the big house or the impressive title or the picture-perfect life. Just this. Just someone who saw me. Who valued me. Who chose me every day. I thought about Emma sometimes. The woman in the red dress who'd smiled at me while she destroyed my marriage. I wondered if she was happy. I wondered if Richard treated her the way he'd treated me. I wondered if she knew what she'd signed up for. But mostly I didn't think about her at all. I ran into her once, actually. July 2025. I was showing a house in Greenwich. She was there with Richard. They were looking to buy a bigger place. She was pregnant. 6 months, maybe 7. She looked tired. "Margaret," Richard said when he saw me. He looked uncomfortable. "Richard." "Emma." I smiled. "Congratulations on the baby." "Thank you," Emma said. Her voice was small. We made small talk for 3 minutes that felt like 3 hours. Then they left. I finished my showing. Drove home. Told James about it. "How did it feel?" he asked. "Strange," I said. "I thought I'd feel something. Anger or jealousy or vindication. But I just felt nothing. Like they were strangers. That's good, isn't it? Feeling nothing? Yeah, I think it is. Phoenix properties continued to grow. By August 2025, I'd helped over 90 women find homes. 90 women starting over. I was expanding into Westchester County. I was hiring more agents. I was building an empire of second chances. Patricia Delgado referred a client to me in September. Her name was Victoria Hartley. She was 48, divorcing her husband of 23 years. He was a CEO worth $100 million. Victoria was terrified. She'd never worked. She'd been a stay-at-home mom, raised 3 kids, supported her husband's career. And now he was divorcing her, and she had no idea what she was worth or what she could afford or how she was going to survive. I met with Victoria at my office. She was shaking. "I don't know what to do," she said. "I don't know how to do any of this." I took her hands. "Listen to me," I said. "I was you. 2 years ago, I was exactly you. I was married to a rich man who thought I was disposable. I was terrified. I had no idea what I was doing, but I figured it out. And you will too." Her eyes filled with tears. "How?" She whispered. "One step at a time. First, we're going to figure out what you're worth. Not what your husband says you're worth. What you're actually worth. Then we're going to find you a home that fits your new life. A place that's yours. And then we're going to help you build something that no one can take away from you." I helped Victoria get a fair settlement. $4.5 million plus assets. Then I helped her find a beautiful house in New Canaan. 5 bedrooms, gorgeous kitchen, space for her kids to visit. And then I did something I'd never done before. I offered her a job. "You understand what these women are going through," I said. "You've lived it. I need someone like you on my team. Someone who can connect with clients on a deeper level. Will you consider it?" She said yes. Victoria became my director of client relations. She was incredible at it. She understood the fear, the uncertainty, the shame that came with divorce. She knew how to talk to women who felt like failures. She knew how to help them see that divorce wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. By December 2025, exactly 2 years after Richard handed me divorce papers, Phoenix Properties had helped 137 women find homes. 137 women starting over. We'd expanded into 3 counties. We had 7 agents. We had partnerships with divorce lawyers, financial planners, therapists, life coaches. We'd built an entire ecosystem around helping women rebuild their lives after divorce. James and I got engaged on Christmas Eve. 2 years to the day after my marriage ended. We were at home, just the 2 of us. He'd made dinner. Nothing fancy. Spaghetti and garlic bread. We ate by candlelight. After dinner, he pulled out a small box. "I know this day has complicated history for you," he said, "but I want to give it new meaning. Better meaning." He opened the box. Inside was a simple gold band. No diamond. Nothing flashy. Just a ring. "Margaret Chin, will you marry me?" I looked at him. This man who'd helped me fix my kitchen and somehow ended up fixing my life. This man who saw me, really saw me, and loved what he saw. "Yes," I said. "Yes." We got married in March 2026. Small ceremony. Just our kids and a few close friends. No big production. No trying to impress anyone. Just us promising to choose each other every day. My son Michael walked me down the aisle. He whispered in my ear before he let me go. "You look happy, Mom. Really happy." "I am," I said. Sarah was my maid of honor. She cried through the entire ceremony. "Happy tears," she said later. "I've never seen you like this. You're glowing." Richard sent a card. Just a simple congratulations. Emma signed it too. No hard feelings. We were all moving forward. Life settled into a new normal. I ran Phoenix Properties. James ran Murphy Contracting. We worked together sometimes, My clients needing his services, his clients needing mine. We had dinner with our kids every Sunday. We took vacations. We argued about stupid things and made up and argued again. It was messy and real and nothing like the perfect facade I'd maintained with Richard. It was better. In May 2026, I got a call from a journalist. She was writing an article about women entrepreneurs who'd built businesses after major life changes. She wanted to feature Phoenix properties. The article came out in July. It was a full spread in a business magazine. There was a photo of me in my office, surrounded by photos of happy clients in their new homes. The headline read, "Rising from the Ashes, How Margaret Chen Turned Divorce into a Thriving Business." The article went viral. Not crazy viral, but enough that my phone started ringing nonstop. Women from all over Connecticut calling for help. Women from New York. Women from New Jersey. Women who'd read the article and saw themselves in my story. I couldn't help them all, but I tried. I connected them with agents in their areas who specialized in divorce transitions. I created a network, a community, women helping women start over. By August, I was getting invited to speak at events, divorce recovery workshops, women's empowerment conferences, real estate conventions. I told my story over and over. The Christmas Eve divorce papers, the woman in the red dress, the $600,000 offer, fighting back, building something new. People loved it. They loved the transformation. They loved that I didn't wallow, that I didn't play the victim, that I took something horrible and turned it into something beautiful. But here's what I didn't tell them. I didn't tell them about the nights I cried myself to sleep in those first few months. About the panic attacks I had in grocery stores because I couldn't remember if Richard liked wheat bread or white bread, and I realized I'd spent 28 years caring about things that didn't matter. About the therapy sessions where I unpacked decades of making myself smaller so Richard could be bigger. I didn't tell them that sometimes I still felt like a failure, that sometimes I wondered if I could have tried harder, done more, been different. That sometimes I mourned the version of my life I'd thought I was living. I didn't tell them that starting over at 52 was terrifying. That some days I wanted to give up. That building Phoenix properties was the hardest thing I'd ever done, and there were moments when I wasn't sure I could do it. I only told them the good parts, the inspiring parts, the parts that fit the narrative of empowered woman rises from adversity. But the truth was messier than that. The truth was that divorce broke me, and rebuilding took everything I had. And some days I still felt broken. But I kept going anyway. Because what else was I supposed to do? One night in September, James found me crying in our bathroom. I'd been looking at old photos. Pictures from my wedding to Richard. Pictures of us when we were young and happy and convinced we'd make it forever. "Hey," James said softly. He sat down next to me on the floor. "Talk to me." "I wasted so much time," I said. "You didn't waste anything. 28 years, James. 28 years with someone who didn't love me. Not really. How did I not see it?" He pulled me close. "Because you loved him," he said. "And when you love someone, you see what you want to see. That's not weakness. That's just being human. I feel stupid. You're not stupid. You're one of the smartest people I know. You built an incredible business. You help people. You changed your entire life. That's not stupid. That's brave." I cried harder. Not sad crying. Release crying. Letting go of something I'd been carrying for too long. James held me until I stopped. Then he helped me up. We brushed our teeth. We went to bed. And the next morning I woke up and kept going. Because that's what you do. You keep going. Phoenix Properties hit the 200 client mark in November 2026. 200 women starting over. 200 new beginnings. We celebrated with a party at the office. All my agents came. Some of our clients came. Patricia Delgado came. Victoria gave a speech about how helping other women had helped her heal. Everyone cried. I looked around the room at these incredible women. Women who'd been knocked down and got back up. Women who'd been told they were worthless and proved everyone wrong. Women who'd taken their pain and turned it into power. This was my legacy. Not the houses I'd sold. Not the money I'd made. This community. This proof that life after divorce could be better than life during marriage. In December 2026, 3 years after Richard gave me divorce papers, I sold the Greenwich mansion. Richard and I split the proceeds, $1.5 million each. I put my half into expanding Phoenix properties. New office space. More agents. Better technology. Richard and Emma had their baby. A girl. They sent me a birth announcement. I sent them flowers. No hard feelings. We'd both moved on. I saw Richard one more time actually. January 2027. We ran into each other at a coffee shop in Stamford. He was alone. He looked older. Tired. Margaret, he said. How are you? I'm good. Really good. How are you? Good. Busy. The baby doesn't sleep much. I smiled. I remember those days. We stood there awkwardly for a moment. I saw the article about your business, he said. You're doing amazing things. Thank you. I'm sorry, he said suddenly, for how I handled everything. The timing. The settlement offer. All of it. I was a coward. I looked at him. This man I'd spent 28 years with. This stranger. You were, I agreed. But I'm glad you were. If you'd been kind about it, if you'd eased me into it, I might have stayed comfortable. I might never have built Phoenix properties. I might never have found James. So thank you. For being a coward. He laughed. It was a surprised sound. You've changed, he said. I have. For the better. We said goodbye. I walked out of that coffee shop feeling lighter. Free. I'd been carrying anger toward Richard for 3 years. And somewhere between the divorce papers and that conversation, I'd let it go. Not because he deserved forgiveness, but because I deserved peace. James and I talked about having a baby. We were both in our late 40s, which made it complicated. But we talked about it anyway. We talked about adoption. About fostering. About being content with the kids we already had. In the end, we decided we were happy with our blended family. His 3 kids, my 2 kids, and the dozens of women we helped through Phoenix properties who felt like extended family. That was enough. More than enough. In March 2027, I was invited to give a TEDx talk. The topic was resilience. I almost said no. Public speaking terrified me. But James convinced me. This is your message, he said. People need to hear it. I spent 2 months writing that talk. Revising it. Practicing it. And on a Saturday afternoon in May, I stood on a red circle on a stage in front of 500 people and told my story. I started with the woman in the red dress. I talked about the divorce papers on Christmas Eve. I talked about the $600,000 offer and fighting back. I talked about building Phoenix properties. But then I said something I'd never said before in any interview or speech. Here's what I learned, I said. Divorce doesn't break you. It reveals who you've always been underneath all the compromises and accommodations and making yourself smaller. It gives you permission to be yourself again. And if you're brave enough to take that permission, if you're brave enough to start over, you might discover that the life you build after divorce is better than anything you had before. The audience stood up. They clapped. Some of them cried. After the talk, dozens of women came up to me. They told me their stories, their divorces, their struggles, their victories. And I listened. Really listened. Because that's what I needed 3 years ago. Someone to listen and say, I understand. You're going to be okay. The TEDx talk got almost 1 million views in the first month. My email inbox exploded. Women from all over the world reaching out, sharing their stories, asking for advice, thanking me for being honest about the hard parts. Phoenix Properties grew beyond what I'd ever imagined. By July 2027, we'd helped over 300 women find homes. We'd expanded into Massachusetts and Rhode Island. We'd been featured in national magazines. I'd been invited to speak at conferences across the country. But the best part wasn't the success. It was the women. Every single woman who called me crying, terrified about her future, and then called me 6 months later laughing, excited about her new life. That was the reward. That was why I did it. James and I celebrated our first wedding anniversary in March 2028. 5 years after he fixed my kitchen. 5 years after I started rebuilding my life. We went to Maine for the weekend. Rented a small cabin on the coast. Spent 3 days doing nothing but walking on the beach and eating lobster and talking about everything and nothing. On our last night there, we sat on the deck watching the sunset. Do you ever regret it? James asked. Regret what? Any of it. The divorce. The fight. Starting over so late. I thought about it. Really thought about it. No, I said. I regret staying in a bad marriage for so long. I regret not fighting for myself sooner. But I don't regret anything that came after. This, as Phoenix Properties helping other women, none of it would have happened if I'd stayed comfortable. He kissed me. I love you, he said. I love you too. And I meant it. Not the way I loved Richard. Not the desperate, clingy, afraid to be alone love I'd felt in my 20s. This was something different. Calmer. Stronger. A love built on honesty and respect and choosing each other every single day. In September 2028, I hired my 50th employee. Phoenix Properties had become the largest divorce-focused real estate agency in the Northeast. We weren't just selling houses anymore. We were offering financial planning, legal referrals, therapy connections, career counseling. We'd built an entire ecosystem around helping women rebuild their lives. Victoria ran the client services division. She'd hired a team of women who'd all been through divorces. They understood the fear, the shame, the uncertainty. They knew how to help because they'd been helped. One afternoon in October, Victoria came into my office. I have someone I want you to meet, she said. A new client? Sort of. She brought in a young woman. 29 years old. Blonde hair, pretty face, expensive clothes. She looked familiar. It took me a second to place her. Emma. Emma Walker. Soon to be Emma Walker again. Richard's wife. The woman in the red dress. She looked different. Smaller somehow. Tired. Her hands were shaking. Mrs. Chen, she said quietly. I know I'm probably the last person you want to see. I looked at Victoria. She gave me a subtle nod. Trust me. Sit down, I said to Emma. She sat. She was crying before she even started talking. Richard filed for divorce 3 months ago, she said. He's with his new assistant now. She's 25. He offered me $800,000 and told me to take it or he'd make my life hell. I felt something then. Not satisfaction. Not vindication. Something sadder. Recognition. How long were you married? I asked. 3 years. We have a daughter. She's 2. He says he'll fight me for custody if I don't accept his terms. Will he? I don't know. Maybe. He's ruthless when he wants something. You know that. I did know that. What do you want from me? I asked. Help. Victoria said you help women like me. But I understand if you don't want to. I know what I did to you. I know I destroyed your marriage. I looked at her. Really looked at her. She was so young. Younger than my daughter. She'd been 26 when she started sleeping with my husband. 26 and probably convinced she was special. That their love was different. That she was the exception. She wasn't. You didn't destroy my marriage, I said. My marriage destroyed itself. You were just the catalyst. She looked up, surprised. Richard is a narcissist, I continued. He finds women who will make him feel powerful. He uses them until they're not useful anymore. Then he replaces them. I was useful for 28 years. You were useful for 3. This new assistant will be useful until she's not. But I knew, Emma whispered. I knew he was married. I'm not innocent. No, you're not. But you're also not responsible for his choices. He's a grown man. He knew what he was doing. She cried harder. I don't know what to do, she said. I have a daughter. I have no career. I've been a stay-at-home mom for 2 years. I don't know how to do anything. You learn, I said. One step at a time. I helped her. Not because I liked her. Not because I forgave her. But because she was another woman trapped in Richard's game, and I knew how to get her out. I connected her with Patricia Delgado. Patricia got her a better settlement. $2.3 million plus child support plus shared custody. Emma found a house in Norwalk. Started taking classes at the community college. Started building a life that didn't revolve around a man who'd never really loved her. One day in December, she came to my office to thank me. Why did you help me? She asked. After everything I did to you. Because helping you wasn't about you, I said. It was about me. About the person I want to be. About building something bigger than my own pain. She smiled. A real smile this time. You're incredible, she said. No. I'm just someone who learned the hard way that the only person responsible for your happiness is you. She left. I never saw her again. But I heard she finished her degree. Got a job. Built a good life for her daughter. Richard married his new assistant in January 2029. I heard about it through mutual friends. They had a big wedding in the Caribbean. Very expensive. Very flashy. James and I laughed about it. How long do you think this one lasts? He asked. 3 years, I said. Maybe 4 if she's smart. We were sitting on our back deck. It was cold, but we had blankets and hot chocolate in each other. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you'd stayed? James asked. Sometimes. I probably would have been miserable but comfortable. Safe. Probably would have died never knowing what I was capable of. Are you glad you didn't? I looked at him. At our house. At the life we'd built. Yeah, I said. I'm glad. Phoenix Properties hit 500 clients in March 2029. 500 women starting over. 500 new beginnings. We celebrated with a huge party. All my employees came. Many of our former clients came. We shared stories. We cried. We laughed. I gave a speech. I talked about the journey. About the woman I used to be, scared and small and letting someone else define my worth. About the woman I'd become, strong and successful and helping others find their strength. But I also talked about the hard parts. The loneliness. The fear. The days when I wanted to give up. The moments when I wondered if I'd made a terrible mistake. Starting over is hard, I said. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do. But it's also the best thing. Because on the other side of hard is a life that's actually yours. A life you chose. A life you built. And that's worth everything. The room erupted in applause. After the party, Patricia Delgado pulled me aside. You know what you've built here, right? She said. A business? No. A movement. You're changing how women think about divorce. You're giving them hope. You're showing them they can survive and thrive. That's bigger than any business. I hugged her. This woman who'd fought for me when I couldn't fight for myself. This woman who'd shown me my worth when I'd forgotten it. Thank you, I said. For everything. You did this, she said. I just pointed you in the right direction. In May 2029, I was interviewed for a podcast about women in business. The host asked me what advice I'd give to women going through divorce. I thought about it for a long moment. Don't make decisions out of fear, I finally said. Don't take the first offer because you're scared you won't get anything better. Don't stay in a bad situation because you're scared of the unknown. Fear will convince you to settle for less than you deserve. Every single time. What should they make decisions based on? Hope. Not blind hope. Realistic hope. Hope based on knowing your worth and fighting for it. Hope based on believing that life can be better. Because it can be. It really can be. The podcast episode got thousands of downloads. My inbox flooded again. More women reaching out. More stories. More thank yous. It was overwhelming sometimes. The responsibility of being a symbol of hope for so many women. The pressure to always be inspiring, always be strong, always have the right answer. Some days I didn't have the right answer. Some days I was tired and cranky and didn't want to talk about divorce or empowerment or starting over. Some days I just wanted to be Margaret, not Margaret Chen, the divorce success story. James understood that. He knew when to push me and when to leave me alone. He knew when I needed to talk and when I needed silence. He knew me in a way Richard never had. That was the difference. Richard had loved the idea of me. The perfect wife who made him look good. James loved the reality of me. The messy, complicated, sometimes difficult reality. In July 2029, my daughter Sarah got engaged. She called me crying happy tears. Mom, she said, I found someone who actually sees me. Who loves me for who I am, not who they want me to be. I know the feeling, I said. She laughed. You taught me that. Watching you leave Dad, watching you build your life, watching you with James, you taught me what real love looks like. That might have been the proudest moment of my life. Not the business success, not the speaking engagements, not the articles or the podcast interviews. This. My daughter learning from my mistakes and my triumphs. Breaking the cycle. Sarah got married in October 2029. Beautiful ceremony in Central Park. Her fiancé was a public defender. Not rich, not flashy, but kind, respectful. He looked at Sarah like she hung the moon. Richard came to the wedding. With his fourth wife. Yes, fourth. The third assistant had lasted 2 years. This one was a yoga instructor. 28 years old. She was perfectly nice. Perfectly forgettable. Richard and I talked for maybe 5 minutes. Polite conversation. How've you been? Good, you? Good. Your business is doing well. Yes. How's the fund? Fine. We had nothing to say to each other. 28 years of marriage and we were strangers making small talk at our daughter's wedding. Emma came too, actually. She'd become friends with Sarah. She brought her daughter, who is now 4 years old. A sweet little girl with Richard's eyes. Margaret, Emma said. Thank you for coming. Of course. I wouldn't miss it. She hugged me. I hugged her back. Life was strange sometimes. James and I danced at the reception. He was a terrible dancer. He stepped on my feet twice. I loved him for it. This is nice, he said. What is? This. Us. Being at your daughter's wedding. Watching her start her life with someone who actually loves her. Knowing we played a part in showing her what that looks like. We did good, I said. Yeah. We did. In November 2029, I turned 57. James threw me a surprise party. All my kids came. All my employees. Some of my clients. The house was packed with people who loved me. Real love. Not the performative love I'd had with Richard. Real, messy, honest love. I made a wish when I blew out the candles. Not for more success. Not for more money. Just for more of this. More moments surrounded by people I loved. More time to help other women. More years with James. Phoenix properties kept growing. By December 2029, we'd helped 647 women find homes. We'd expanded into Pennsylvania and Delaware. We had 73 employees. We'd been profiled in national business magazines. I'd been named one of the top women entrepreneurs in the Northeast. But the numbers didn't matter as much anymore. What mattered were the stories. The woman who called me crying because she'd just signed the papers on her first home after 30 years of marriage. The woman who sent me photos of her daughter's college graduation, thanking me for helping her afford to send her daughter to school. The woman who told me that finding her house had saved her life. Those stories. That's why I did it. Christmas Eve 2029. 6 years exactly since Richard handed me divorce papers. James and I were at home. No big party. No trying to impress anyone. Just us and our kids and a quiet dinner. After dinner, Michael pulled me aside. "Mom," he said, "I need to tell you something." "What?" "Dad called me last week. He wanted to know if you'd be willing to meet with him. He says he wants to apologize." "Really apologize? For what?" "Everything, I guess." I looked at my son. He looked worried, like he thought this might upset me. "What do you think I should do?" I asked. "I think you should do whatever feels right for you. You don't owe him anything. But if you want closure, maybe it's worth hearing what he has to say." I thought about it. Did I want closure? Did I need it? I'd moved on, built a new life, found happiness. What could Richard possibly say that would matter now? "Tell him okay," I said. "But not on Christmas. Any other day." Michael hugged me. "You're amazing, Mom. You know that, right?" "I'm just trying my best." "No. You're amazing." Richard and I met for coffee in January 2030. A neutral location. A Starbucks in Darren. Neutral. Safe. Public. He looked old. Not old like elderly. Old like tired. Old like life had worn him down. He'd put on weight. His hair was grayer. He looked like what he was. A man in his early 50s who'd burned through 4 marriages and was running out of options. "Margaret," he said when I sat down. "Thank you for meeting me. What did you want to talk about?" He took a deep breath. "I wanted to apologize. Really apologize. Not the half-hearted apology I gave you at Sarah's wedding. A real one." "Okay. I treated you terribly. I took you for granted for years. I prioritized my career over our marriage. I cheated on you. I humiliated you. I offered you an insulting settlement because I thought you'd be too scared to fight back. And I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry." I sipped my coffee. It was too hot. I burned my tongue a little. "What brought this on?" I asked. "Therapy. My therapist has been making me look at my patterns. The way I treat women. The way I always need someone new, someone younger, someone who makes me feel powerful. She says I have issues with aging and control and self-worth." "Does she?" "Yeah. And she's right. I've been married 4 times, Margaret. 4 times in 6 years. Do you know how exhausting that is?" I laughed. I couldn't help it. "I imagine it is." He smiled. A sad smile. "You won," he said. "You built something incredible. You're happy. Everyone knows it. And I'm still chasing something I'll never find." "What are you chasing?" "I don't know. Validation? Youth? Proof that I'm still relevant? My therapist thinks I'm trying to outrun my fear of death." "Are you?" "Probably." He sighed. "I was a terrible husband. To you. To Emma. To the others. I'm not good at it. I don't know how to be a partner. I only know how to be successful. Those aren't mutually exclusive. They are for me." We sat in silence for a moment. "Do you want me to forgive you?" I asked. "I don't know. Maybe. Do you?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. "I forgave you a long time ago," I said. "Not because you deserved it. Because I deserved peace. But that forgiveness was for me, not for you." "I understand." "Richard, can I ask you something?" "Sure." Were you ever happy with me? In the beginning? Was any of it real? He looked surprised. Yes, he said. God, yes. I loved you so much in the beginning. You were the only person who believed in me when I had nothing. You were smart and driven, and you made me feel like I could do anything. What changed? I did. Success changed me. Money changed me. I started measuring my worth by my net worth. And you stayed the same. You were content with what we had. You didn't need more. And that terrified me because it felt like stagnation. Like if I stopped climbing, I'd disappear. So you kept climbing. Yeah. And I left you behind. I'm sorry for that. I finished my coffee. I appreciate the apology, I said. I do. But I need you to know something. You didn't break me. You freed me. If you hadn't left, I never would have built Phoenix Properties. I never would have found James. I never would have discovered what I was capable of. So in a weird way, thank you. He laughed. It was a genuine laugh. Only you would thank me for divorcing you. I'm serious. You did me a favor. I'm glad one of us got something good out of it. We said goodbye. He hugged me. I hugged him back. And then we went our separate ways. Two strangers who used to be married. Two people who'd hurt each other and healed and moved on. I drove home. James was in the kitchen making lunch. How did it go? He asked. It was fine. Good, even. He apologized. How do you feel? Free. Like I finally closed a chapter one didn't know was still open. He kissed me. I'm proud of you. For what? For being the kind of person who can accept an apology without letting it change who you are. I loved him so much in that moment. This man who understood me better than anyone ever had. Phoenix Properties continued to thrive. By spring 3030, we'd helped 723 women find homes. We'd opened an office in Boston. We were planning expansion into New York City. But more than that, we'd started a movement. Other real estate agents around the country were copying our model, specializing in divorce transitions, offering comprehensive services, building communities. I didn't mind the copycats. The more women we could help, the better. This wasn't about me anymore. It was about changing how society viewed divorce, about removing the shame, about showing women that ending a marriage wasn't failure. It was sometimes the bravest thing you could do. In June 3030, I was invited to speak at a women's conference in Chicago. 5,000 women in the audience. 5,000 women looking for inspiration, for guidance, for hope. I stood on that stage and told my story one more time. The woman in the red dress. The divorce papers on Christmas Eve. The $600,000 offer. Fighting back. Building Phoenix Properties. Finding James. But this time I added something new. The hardest part wasn't the divorce, I said. It wasn't starting over. It wasn't building a business or learning to be alone or any of the things you might think. The hardest part was forgiving myself. For staying so long. For ignoring the signs. For making myself small. For wasting years of my life on someone who didn't value me. The audience was silent. Listening. But here's what I learned, I continued. You can't move forward if you're carrying shame about the past. You have to forgive yourself. You have to say, I did the best I could with the information I had. I made mistakes. I stayed too long. I ignored red flags. But I'm human. And humans mess up. And that's okay. Someone started clapping. Then another person. Then the entire audience. Standing ovation. 5,000 women standing and clapping, and some of them crying. After the talk, hundreds of women waited in line to talk to me. To thank me. To share their stories. To ask for advice. One woman, probably in her 30s, grabbed my hands. I'm in the middle of a divorce right now, she said. I have 3 kids. I'm terrified. I don't know if I can do this. You can, I said. It won't be easy, but you can. One day at a time. One decision at a time. You'll figure it out. She hugged me. She was crying. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for showing us it's possible. That's why I did it. All of it. The business. The speaking. The interviews. Not for fame or recognition, but to show other women it was possible. That they could survive. That they could thrive. James and I celebrated our 5th wedding anniversary in March 3031. 10 years after he fixed my kitchen. 10 years after everything changed. We went back to Maine. The same cabin. The same beach. The same lobster restaurant. Can you believe it's been 10 years? James said. Since you fixed my leaky faucet? Since you changed my life. I changed your life? You changed mine. We changed each other's lives. That's how it's supposed to work. He was right. That's exactly how it was supposed to work. Two people making each other better. Supporting each other. Choosing each other. Every single day. In May 3031, Michael called me. He was getting married. To a wonderful woman named Lisa. She was a teacher. Kind. Smart. Funny. Nothing like the women his father chose. I'm proud of you, I told him. For what? For choosing well. For learning from your father's mistakes. For finding someone who loves you for who you are. I learned from you, You showed me what real love looks like. My kids were breaking the cycle. Both of them. Choosing partners who respected them. Who valued them. Who saw them. That was my real legacy. Not Phoenix properties. Not the speaking engagements. This. My kids knowing their worth. Phoenix properties hit 1,000 clients in August 3031. 1,000 women starting over. 1,000 new beginnings. We threw a massive celebration. Rented out a ballroom in Stamford. Invited every client we'd ever worked with. Hundreds of women showed up. Women of all ages. All backgrounds. All stories. I gave a speech. I talked about the journey. About how far we'd all come. About how proud I was of every single woman in that room. But then I said something I'd never said publicly before. I'm not special, I said. I'm not extraordinary. I'm just a woman who got knocked down and decided to get back up. And every single one of you is the same. You're not victims. You're not failures. You're survivors. You're warriors. You're women who refuse to let one bad relationship define the rest of your lives. The room erupted. Cheering. Clapping. Crying. After my speech, women came up to me one by one. They hugged me. They thanked me. They told me their stories. The marriages that ended. The fights they won. The new lives they built. The happiness they found. This was it. This was the moment. Not success. Not money. Not recognition. This community of women who'd lifted each other up. Victoria found me later. She was crying. Thank you, she said, for giving me a chance. For believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. You did the work, I said. I just pointed you in the right direction. Same thing you did for all of us. I hugged her. This woman who'd been terrified and broken and unsure. This woman who'd become one of my closest friends and most trusted employees. In October 3031, I turned 60. 60 years old. James threw me another party. Smaller this time. Just family and close friends. I looked around the room. My kids. James's kids. My employees. My friends. People who loved me. Really loved me. Not because of what I could do for them. Not because of how I made them look. Just because of who I was. This was wealth. Not the money in my bank account. Not the success of my business. These people. These relationships. James gave a toast. To Margaret, he said. The most incredible woman I know. She took the worst day of her life and turned it into something beautiful. She helps women every single day. She changed my life. She changed all our lives. Happy birthday, sweetheart. Everyone raised their glasses. I cried. Happy tears. Later that night, James and I were sitting on our back deck. It was cold. We had blankets and hot cocoa. Are you happy? He asked. I looked at him. This man who'd seen me at my lowest and loved me anyway. This man who'd built a life with me. This man who chose me every single day. Yes, I said. I'm happy. Really, truly happy. Even with everything that happened? All the pain? All the struggle? Especially because of everything that happened. I wouldn't be here without it. None of this would exist without it. He kissed me. I love you, Margaret Chin Murphy. I love you too. Phoenix Properties kept growing. By December 3031, we'd helped over 1,200 women find homes. We'd expanded into 8 states. We had 137 employees. We'd been featured in countless publications. I'd spoken at conferences around the world. But the work wasn't done. There were still women trapped in bad marriages. Still women who didn't know their worth. Still women who needed help starting over. So I kept going. We all kept going. In January 3032, I got an email from a woman named Christina Hall. She was 26 years old. She'd been following Phoenix Properties on social media. She was getting her real estate license. She wanted to know if she could intern with us. I'm newly divorced, she wrote. My husband was abusive. I have a 2-year-old daughter. I'm trying to build a new life. Your story inspired me. I want to help other women the way you help them. I hired her, not as an intern, as a full agent. I remembered what it was like to be young and scared and trying to start over. She deserved a chance. Christina thrived. She was a natural. She understood her clients because she'd been them. She knew the fear, the shame, the hope. Within 6 months, she was one of our top agents. That's how it worked. Women helping women. Lifting each other up. Breaking the cycle. In March 3032, Sarah had a baby. My first grandchild. A little girl named Margaret. After me. I held her in my arms and cried. This tiny perfect human who represented everything I'd fought for. Hope. New beginnings. Breaking cycles. She would grow up knowing her worth. Knowing she deserved respect. Knowing she had choices. Michael and Lisa had a baby a year later. A boy named James. After my husband. After the man who'd shown all of us what real love looked like. I was a grandmother. 62 years old. Running a successful business. Happily remarried. Helping women start over. Living a life I never could have imagined 10 years ago. Sometimes I thought about that night. Christmas Eve 2023. The woman in the red dress. The envelope on the kitchen counter. The moment everything changed. If someone had told me then where I'd be now, I wouldn't have believed them. I would have thought it was impossible. That I was too old. Too scared. Too damaged. But I wasn't any of those things. I was just a woman who got tired of being small. Who got tired of letting someone else define her worth. Who decided that even at 52, it wasn't too late to start over. And I was right. It's never too late. That's what I want you to understand. Whether you're 25 or 55 or 75. Whether you've been married 1 year or 40 years. Whether you're thinking about leaving or you've already left. It's never too late to start over. It's never too late to choose yourself. It's never too late to build a life you actually want to live. Will it be hard? Yes. Absolutely. Starting over is the hardest thing you'll ever do. You'll cry. You'll doubt yourself. You'll wonder if you made a mistake. You'll have days when you want to give up. But you won't give up. Because on the other side of hard is freedom. On the other side of hard is a life that's actually yours. On the other side of hard is happiness you never knew was possible. I know because I lived it. I'm still living it. But more than that, we're changing the conversation around divorce. We're removing the shame. We're showing women that ending a marriage isn't failure. Sometimes it's the bravest, smartest, most self-loving thing you can do. My marriage to Richard ended on Christmas Eve 2023, but my life began that same night. The real life. The honest life. The life where I get to be myself without apology. I wouldn't change a thing. Well, that's not true. I'd change the 28 years I wasted. I'd leave sooner. Fight harder. Value myself more. But I can't change the past. None of us can. All we can do is learn from it. Grow from it. Use it to build something better. That's what I did. That's what all the women I've worked with did. We took our pain and turned it into power. We took our endings and turned them into beginnings. You can do it too. I promise you can. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Here's what you need to remember. Your worth is not determined by whether someone chooses to stay with you. Your value is not dependent on being married. Your life is not over because a relationship ended. You are enough. Right now. Exactly as you are. You don't need someone else to complete you. You don't need to be younger or thinner or different. You just need to be you. The real you. The you that's been hiding under years of compromise and accommodation. Find that person again. Remember who you were before you learned to make yourself small. Remember what you wanted before you started wanting what someone else wanted. Remember your dreams, your goals, your voice, and then fight for that person. Fight for yourself with the same energy you've been using to fight for everyone else. Get a good lawyer. Don't accept the first settlement offer. Know your worth. Financially and emotionally and spiritually. You deserve more than you think you do. Fight for it. Build something new. Whether it's a business or a hobby or a new career or just a new way of being in the world. Build something that's yours. Something no one can take away from you. Find your people. Your real people. The ones who see you and love you and support you. Not the ones who tolerated you or put up with you. The ones who choose you. Every single day. And be patient with yourself. Healing isn't linear. Some days you'll feel strong and brave and ready to conquer the world. Other days you'll feel broken and scared and convinced you made a mistake. Both are okay. Both are part of the process. Give yourself grace. Give yourself time. Give yourself permission to be messy and imperfect and still figuring it out. You will figure it out. I promise you will. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But you will. And when you do, when you're on the other side of this, when you've built your new life and found your people and remembered your worth, you'll look back and realize that the divorce wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The painful, terrifying, liberating beginning of the rest of your life. James is calling me for dinner. We're having tacos. His specialty. Nothing fancy. Just tacos and laughter and ordinary Tuesday night happiness. This is my life now. Ordinary moments that feel extraordinary because they're real. Because they're mine. Because I chose them. 10 years ago, I was standing in my kitchen holding divorce papers, wondering if my life was over. Today, I know it was just beginning. Whatever you're going through right now, whatever pain you're feeling, whatever fear is holding you back, I want you to know something. You're going to be okay. Better than okay. You're going to be happy. Really, truly, deeply happy. I know because I was you. And now I'm me. And me is pretty great. Your turn now. Your new beginning. Your second chance. Your phoenix rising from the ashes moment. Take it. You deserve it. If you're still here with me right now, tell me where you're watching this from and what time it is. I love knowing that my story is reaching people all over the world at all different times. Drop a comment. Let me know you're here. Let me know you heard me. And if you're going through something similar, tell me about it. I read every comment. Every single one. And hey, hit that subscribe button because I've got more stories coming. Stories about women who took their worst moments and turned them into something beautiful. Stories about starting over. Stories about finding yourself. Stories about life after the ending. Rate this story 1 to 10 in the comments. And if it helped you, if it gave you even a tiny bit of hope, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because we all need to know we're not alone. We all need to know it's possible. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for letting me share my story. Now go live yours.